Well, welcome back to my Hawaiian adventure. We got some white caps going on here. And I wasn't gonna quite come back into doing a video while I was in between islands, and I am now pushing away from Maui and heading towards the big island, going 6 or 7 knots. But the wind, if you look down in the gauge, the two dials on the bottom of the overall speed gauge, there's a wind indicator on the bottom left, and when it points straight down, it's 30 knots, and there's 5 knot increments. So right now it's doing about 25 knots of wind, while the boat's doing about 6 knots. When I got in, I wasn't expecting this to happen and be recording, but when I first started in, and this is real-time weather, so it's a little hazy today, and the wind is blowing it was blowing at 12 knots. So I went ahead and went in and said, hey, I got to shorten sail. So I did that, but I did that before the recording, so you can see that I did reef down to the first and then second reef, and so the mainsail is shortened. The top sail was taken down completely, and the number 3 jib was also taken down completely. So you can see that now running with a shortened sail. And when I was at 12 knots with all the sails up, I was heeled way over, almost ready to capsize. And I'm running on my side. So what I decided to do is to shorten sail to get it moving along a little bit more level. But look at these rolling waves. So somebody had wanted a video of what it's like to run in a storm. Well, a storm would be 40 or 50 knots with a tropical storm, and a hurricane would be 75 and above. But let's say a tropical storm with heavy rain and lightning and overcast clouds and all that stuff, and 45, 50 knots of wind. That's almost ridiculous. So I tried to simulate that outside this video just to see the most you can do. Because unless you can find the spot in the world where that weather is going on, if you want to custom build your own weather thing, I think the most you can jump the wind up was 45 knots, and at that, it's severe. That's a really severe weather situation to be sailing in. So you almost have to shorten your sails. You don't want to take your sails completely down. But you're going to take most of your sails down, except for maybe one jib or a storm sail. Sometimes they call them, for a very small jib, or reef the main as much as possible, and point as much as you can into the rolling waves. And hope for the best. But so one of the good parts is only being out for a few hours, and I'm already 10 nautical miles south of Maui, and well on my way. You can see I'm about 30 nautical miles to get to down to the big island of Hawaii, and and I'm not going to go for the very northern tip. I want to go about halfway down the island, where there's a good size. I think there's a city there, but so it's about 30 nautical miles to get down that way, and then I have to go a little further south even still. But just if I go along the path I'm going right now, which this particular heading in this wind is a comfortable ride. So well, I say comfortable. This is pretty heavy wind now at 25, 27 knots. And I don't think I've hit 30 knots, but I did get up at some points 27 knots. And it's starting to calm back down. But if I open up the log, I like the log because it could chart where you've been, history-wise. But it's not showing my latest leg from that point to where I am now. So, I want to figure all that out. In fact, what happened to my history for prior? So I think you have to go back in the log and go back in history. Yeah, I started out with 12 knot winds and now it's up to 22 knots. So I definitely shortened sail for all that. But nevertheless, for those who want to see how this sailing simulator does in heavy winds and, not quite storm-like conditions, but I think the real weather said there was a light precipitation, and so there's more of a history there. And now if I go back, only I don't see any light rain going on right now, but if I go back, I can see now my history from the logbook with the white, what was charted in white, and you can see initially when I was coming out from Oahu, I went offline, and when I went offline, I didn't realize I was on online sealing. That's why it went, and so I decided to teleport back to where I was and make that bend and go, through the log that way. But I think what I have to do is go over to the next log. I don't know why, if it's starting a new logbook or just goes to the next page. And if I want to chart that, yeah, you can see it charted from the kind of a southern point of Maui down a ways, but it doesn't have my latest entry. And I think that's just because it does automatic entries, I think, when you get in, get out and stuff, but I hadn't been out of it, since that point, maybe, and I didn't add an entry, manually. So let's see what happens there. Okay, there we got that. You can see the white charting. That's the last entry. And nope. So I think that actually is the last entry. So I probably need to add a new entry to get it to chart to my latest position, and that's where so let's do that. Let's add a new entry. Okay, I'll go ahead and type something in here, see what happens. "27 knots. Wow, it's just blowing. Okay, there you are. So once I add that entry, you can see that charted all the way to my boat. So I love this. I mean, this log that we, I don't know what to say. The log feature. The log feature is fantastic. So it allows me to see my whole trip from the time, I left Oahu, Waikiki beach area, Honolulu actually, the docks there, and then on. And here I am heading towards the Big Island. So, taking me a few days. So I think I left on July 4th, and now it's July 6th. And I, of course, when I got to Maui, I spent the night and all that stuff. you know, I gotta say it is easier to run real time, but in order to do that, you have to be sailing in your own time zone. You know, and in my time zone, you know, it wouldn't be daylight. Right now, it'd be in the middle of the night. So, in this case, actually, the only thing I did was I changed the time of day to reflect back to the last time I signed off. So it'd be the same. So I moved the day to July 6th and to about 12 noon, 12:30 or something like that in the afternoon, local time. But I didn't do anything to the weather. So this is real-time weather that I'm sailing through, and it's a blast. It's fun. I got these very strong breeze. Actually, it's more than a strong breeze. It's quite a steady wind at 25 to 27 knots, and I'm just breaking over these rollers. So I thought you guys might enjoy. I wasn't really going to post a video. Open up the cabin there to air out some, and you know, I didn't intend to do a video while I was sailing between the islands, at least not until I was able to see the big island. And I can still see Maui. I can't see looking out the front, the big island. Yeah, I think out in the haze I could actually see something. But let's mess about with the jibs here. Yeah, get that to bring up the gauge so we can watch and see, you know, between 6 and 7 knots, and mess about with that a little. I like doing this. This just gives you good experience to see what happens when you tweak the sails, and you know what can you get done. Sometimes you make it a little worse, you know, and you know, I say a little worse. It's, you know, a half a knot or, you know, a knot or something doesn't really mean much when you're cruising. It's not that, but if you're racing, every little, you know, little point of difference is gonna mean everything to you. But we're not racing, so we're tweaking, and we can stay at a comfortable 6 knots. I think at some point, sometimes it's running up to the 7 or so. And I've actually seen it roll into almost 8, but I think it's when I come down from the crest of a wave and ride down, it speeds it up a little. So it's not so much the sail adjustment. But, you know, just so you can see that Sailaway is a good sailing simulator. It's a lot of fun. You can ride along in real-time weather. You can get the experience of what to do in stiff wind, because you know you get in the 20s and almost up to the 30s and wind speed. You got to handle the boat. Pay a lot more attention to it for sure. You know, because I'm getting knocked over a little bit here. But it is, look at me crashing the waves. I mean, you know, it is just a rolling. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this and getting a feel for, you know, what can happen. We got from, you know, a nice, lazy, easy sailing day, from a light breeze to some may say a little boring. Here we are now, you know, fighting the wind and the waves and the ocean spray and the salt. So we're rocking and rolling now, guys. We're rocking and rolling. I'm just, messing about here. See, we dropped in speed a little bit. And so it's, I made some adjustments and, whoa. It's funny how you can lose speed, make an adjustment, and yet, and make it even worse as far as heeling over. So you want to get the right sail, the right balance, and then learn a little bit. Let's take that forward sail down, or jib 2. Let's pull that one down. I don't know. We just we're going along. We're going along. I'm having a hard time letting go of going along at 7 knots. I mean, I'm getting to the Big Island a lot faster than I thought I would be. I almost don't want to shorten sail. You just keep going like this. Whoa. Yeah, obviously if I had the number 3 jib up, which I had when it was just 12 knots, and it was pushing me over in topsail, had to take it down. Just had to take it down. By the way, I say they, it's Richard, and I think his last name is Noel, I forget, but he's added some marine mammals in. There's a dolphin, porpoise if you will, and of course I always run into them when I'm not recording. But I'm hoping when I get down to the island, I'll start seeing them again, and we can catch them on the video. If you don't catch them today. But and I was also tweaking about and learning how to use the route, the waypoints. So of course we talked about the white charting lines for our history, but now we could also set waypoints. And I'm not sure whether or not I guess it would follow these if I tell it to in the auto navigation to stay on the center line. I hadn't tried that yet, but I know if I get off line, if I log off, yeah, and I say maintain, I say follow route when offline, that it would probably follow that waypoint until you reach the destination. So, because I did do that, like I said, I was in the Bahamas with another boat, my J112, and it did. I made different waypoints, cutting around the island and going a different direction, and it followed it, and that was pretty neat. So, but I haven't quite mastered it yet, so that's why I hadn't put a video on it. But it's kind of neat. Really, on a nice lazy day, opening up this hatch is kind of good to air out the cabin. On a day like today, with all the ocean spray coming over the bow, probably a good idea to get that closed. Well, I very much enjoyed this adventure so far, and so I figured I would cut in this video as an additional part, just because we have these strong winds and rolling sea and a little bit more excitement. So hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll come back and do another video when we get close to the island, and maybe we'll see some wildlife and do another dive. But until then, catch you next time.